All right, hello everyone. I'm your host, Greta Wall. I'm here with T3 Live's, the leader of T3 Live's Inner Circle Virtual Trading Floor, David Prince. We're here for our weekly market check-in. How's it going today, David? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. All's going well.
All right, good, good. All right, the topic of our conversation today, as I titled it, is big cap tech back? And that question, of course, coming after the Nasdaq hit a record high yesterday, led by some of those big cap tech names. Since the election, we've seen leaders in the small cap space, the big caps kind of lagging. Are they back? So let's take a look. The Nasdaq again, like I said yesterday, hit a record high and then pulled back some today. But what are your thoughts on the big cap tech space here in the beginning of December? It's only the second trading day of the month, and we're in the last month of the year. So, what are your thoughts?
First thought was it never left.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these stocks were doing just fine. They just took a break. And as many people started to get, bearish and call tops and all of that good stuff, I said, listen, I actually think we'll have some rotation. This is a wonderful bull market. And what that means is there's constant rotation. So when one sector or one theme takes a rest, there's often another theme, right, that takes the lead. So I actually said, we got to focus on the two we were focused on big cap wise, besides Tesla, which is trading in its own bull market. In other words, it was trading much better than the rest of Mag 7, maybe Netflix too, but you get the idea. While everyone else was taking a break, Tesla was not. While they were, we focused on Meta and we focused on Nvidia. And I said, listen, there'll be a time a lot of these mid cap, small cap names we're focused on that have been unbelievable, right? Affirm, Block, A-Lab. I said, they're all stretched and they'll take a break. And while they're getting stretched and going higher, let's focus on big cap that's trading at reasonable valuation because they're going to come back for them before the end of the year. So clearly they came back for them, but they didn't leave. They just took a bit of a break. So our kind of focus name. Oh, by the way, Google too. Google, I said, listen, the chart's ugly. It looks horrendous at 165, but if you're an investor, you're not always a trader and you have some long-term money, you got to buy it. So we bought Google as well. So we had a lot of those mid, small cap, hot, excuse the expression, names, but we also bought some quality names while no one really cared about big cap. Now it's back. By the way, then they'll go, then these will slow down and they'll go back to some of the small and mid caps, which are finally, some of them are correcting, not all of them, but there's some names that are testing the 10 and 21, 10, 8 and 10 day that might even come into the 21 day. So the way I look at it, there's not much resting. There's some dead stocks that just aren't alive, but there's not a lot resting. There's just moments of rotation where they come to mid cap, they go back to small cap, they go to financials, they come back for semis. Semis have clearly lagged, but yesterday we saw them come for semis. Everyone gave up on them, and then sure enough, we saw TSM and the SOX up. TSM was up like 5%. The SOX was up 3%. So nothing's really left.
You mentioned Meta. Meta today up over 600, rallying like 2% as we're talking. Some interesting news around Meta being that Zuckerberg wants to have some kind of role in the Trump administration or help with the Trump tech policies. Very different, I think, from what we saw with Trump and Meta in the past. Do you think there's been a shift in these big cap tech leaders that they see that they need to, seeing what has happened with Elon and Tesla, maybe it's beneficial for them to work with the incoming administration?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, it's not a secret. If you actually read the news, Tim Cook has been having constant conversations with Donald Trump, right? So they all know to what degree, right? Obviously, Elon bet his career on it to some degree. Maybe not career, but you get the idea. He had the most to lose. Yeah. Maybe everyone else isn't going to the same degree, but everyone is well aware that in the new administration, connections and how you get along with the administration is going to be key. So to me, it's just logical. Whether you like the man, you don't like the man, whether you believe in his politics, it's almost irrelevant because these guys are running a business. So I think all of them pretty much know it behooves them and their shareholders to make friends with Donald Trump. But I think we had some hints about this, like during the election before he was elected. If you remember, we had Facebook kind of pull back and explain that maybe they were pressured to do things they didn't want to do by the previous administration. So I'm not shocked by today. Like, we got a hint that him and Zuckerberg were not as much on the outs as we might have suspected. And then once the election happened, if you remember, right, or yeah, the election ended, Meta actually dragged. People went back to thinking, oh, this might get hurt by the new administration. I always wonder, they're no longer on a different page, right? They came out and kind of outed how they were being pressured in terms of what news they would release. So bottom line, I'm not shocked by today. And these are very binary reactions. So yeah, why wouldn't Zuckerberg say, listen, I want to be more involved? Because I'd say 85% of Tesla's move in the past couple of months, yeah, earnings were good. But the rest of the move is more about Elon Musk being the vice president of our country at this point. So it makes total sense.
Speaking of Tesla, the stock flirting with record highs yesterday and then pulling back today, down about 2% today. I know you've been looking for a pullback in Tesla. I'm not sure if this is quite enough for you at this point, but talk about what you've been doing with Tesla lately and what you plan to do with Tesla in the future.
I have not been flat Tesla, since earnings. I've gotten bigger, smaller. So into 360, we definitely got smaller, right? We had that big move on Monday. And then I've kind of done nothing till today, where I said, listen, it's my recent larger buys were like 325 and 306. So am I excited up here at 350? No. But am I cognizant that we're probably not going to pull back like that again before the end of the year? Yes. And the more times we test this higher 360 area, very high likelihood we'll break through and be 375, 380. So I am starting to nibble again because we sold some up at 360. So 350 on down, I have stock, but I'll start to look at 380 calls is what I'm focused on for the end of the month, monthly strike. And ideally, I'd love to pull back to at least 344 before I get too excited. I do think it works. I don't think it's done. If you look at Mag 7 and performance, although it's done great recently, it's still like the only name not to make a new high. So I think there's room to go. I don't think we're done, but it went from 326 to 360 in a 2-3 day period. So some digestion's normal. We might use the pay package being denied by the judge as an excuse, but it's more a rest, a period to take some rest because it keeps having these monstrous gaps, and sometimes you need to take a breath.
The action in Tesla lately, just feels so much more like the 2021 type of moves we used to see in these stocks, and that was much more, anyone could put money in Tesla and make money kind of time in the market. Do you think that spirit in the stock will remain through 2025? No,
definitely not. I think 2025 is going to be a tough year for the markets. I'm not calling for a crash. And I think right now, we're just buying and asking questions later. I think in 25, we'll ask questions like, hey, is Elon's relationship with Donald Trump or President Trump actually beneficial to the stock? What's getting done? What's changing to make it such a powerful story? Much like how so many other stocks like financials have outperformed due to deregulation. But I think come 25, they're going to say, okay, what's being deregulated? How are they benefiting? So no, I think 25, the actual questions to the response is happening before anything happens. Then I think people are going to ask some questions like, okay, what happened? Were there any changes made to back up the move we've seen in a lot of these equities? So whether it be Tesla or other names, I think we're going to have to see some changes to back up what we're pricing in ahead of time.
Yeah. All right. When it comes to small caps, we've seen some outperformance since the election. You can see on that chart, it's daily. So you can see the huge gap after the election, then a pullback for some correction, and then just another straight rally up. And now we're going kind of sideways on the IWM and the small caps. This is, of course, a rate sensitive part of the market, but a lot of that was kind of alleviated when it came to
by Trump,
Trump's election. Do you think heading into 2025 and the end of this year that the rate story becomes more impactful again for this space?
I do. I think we have this moment in time where I actually say inflation is less hurtful to the small cap sector because people are pretty comfortable that Donald Trump or President Trump will be more beneficial to the small cap environment, lower taxes, higher earnings. But we're pricing in before the actual facts. And the facts are probably that rates will stay higher for longer. Yeah, we're going to cut rates, but not as swiftly as all would hope. And if the economy holds up and if the jobs market holds up, there's good likelihood that we're not going to have as many cuts as people would like. And small cap will have made a lot of the move right now. I think now is when you eat. Now, I like to say on Twitter is where they're serving Nobu. I think in 25, it's not as, the market speeds up. Everything it does. If you've been in the market like me for 30 years, it speeds up every sequence. And sometimes bear markets that used to take 2 months now take 4 to 8 weeks. I mean, I've really seen that happen. Well, I think we still continue to see that happen. What is Trump good for? Trump's good for Bitcoin. What is Trump good for? He's good for lower taxes. What is Trump good for? He's good for deregulation. What goes up in a straight line? Tesla, Bitcoin, financials. But I don't think that's 25. I think a lot of 25 story is happening right now in 24. So I just think we have to be cognizant that these moves are brisk, fast, and we price in a lot right away.
All right. It being the first week of a new month, we, of course, are getting some important jobs data this week, and that is focus for the Fed. So the key data we're getting this week, today we got the JOLTS report, job openings rising more than expected. I think 7.7 million above the 7.5 million forecast. Wednesday, tomorrow, we'll get the private jobs data from ADP for the month of November. And then Friday, we'll get that official NFP non-farm payrolls for November. How important is this data to the market this week? I mean, this is the last labor market data that we'll get before the next Fed meeting.
It's relevant, but I wouldn't make too much of it. But here's why it's relevant, because we have a Fed meeting, right? This is the only NFP prior to the Fed meeting. And if we saw the jobs market get too soft, well, sure, he's most definitely going to cut, but there's a feeling out there that that's not what we're rooting for, right? We're rooting for the economy to stay strong enough, but inflation not be too hot and get our rate cuts. So too soft, the market's going to be worried about a slowdown in the economy. It's highly doubtful. And if it's raging too strong, well, then, we got to worry that maybe there's just no need for rate cuts. So slow it down. So we kind of want to just see it hit its number, not be too soft, not be too hot. It matters. It's not an end all. Right now, we're at the most bullish time of the year. People are feeling good. Most asset prices are going north, and there's very little that can get in the way besides geopolitics and, just disasters. So I wouldn't rearrange your portfolio because of it, because most likely we will get a cut. Is it guaranteed? No. But are people becoming more comfortable that there'll be a cut in the December meeting, even though a week ago people started to question it? I think so, yes. Super strong jobs market, expectations will go down. Does that mean that stock prices can't work in December? No. Does it mean that they might have a much tougher time in January, February, in my opinion? Yes.
Great. Nvidia seems to kind of be hitting a wall with 140 since earnings, definitely 139.85. I think is the high post earnings for Nvidia. What are your thoughts?
Got above 140 at one point today, almost 141. But we're
so
penny.
Today.
Same.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on Nvidia after earnings? The earnings report obviously wasn't enough to rally the stock higher. It's hard with these stocks. They can beat and raise, but it has to be a huge beat and raise. So.
Right. We've had the discussion a lot, and I always say, listen, where it's priced pre the print is half the game, sometimes more than half the game. So I was pretty vocal. I said, listen, I'm long the stock, but I see no good setup here into the print, and I wouldn't buy calls. But why change your stock position, especially if you own it from several points lower? Since then, I let it come in. It seemed like a natural response to pull back because, well, although earnings were fantastic, it's just been an unbelievable winner this year, last year. So it seemed all like par for the course, nothing abnormal. And once we came to some identifiable areas like 132 and just an oversold condition, basically 20 points, $15 stock, 10%, move down in a very quick time frame. I said, okay, we could start to add back to the position for the first time. I hadn't bought Nvidia in over 4 or 5 weeks. I'm going to guess that's the longest period of time I haven't bought more Nvidia in a year or two. And then we got a bit aggressive, 132, 133. And did I know it was going to rally the next day? No, I thought it rallied 135, 136. And sure enough, it rallied. Here's the way I look at it. We sold some, like we made 6-7 points in a matter of, a day. But I do think as people start to get bored and there's a little bit of congestion here, eventually by the end of the year, we'll be right back to 150. There's no reason to bet against it. What I think, and I've said this too, I think NVIDIA's greatest problem right now has zero to do with their business and has zero to do with earnings growth. I think it has everything to do with the fact that there's so many nice, shiny toys to play with right now. And they used to be the only nice, shiny toy in town. And now you can actually buy Amazon and it goes up. And by the way, you can buy Shop too. And if you want, you can buy some Goldman. Oh, and by the way, you can buy MicroStrategy and Mara too. That's maybe NVIDIA's biggest problem. They were the only show in town. Sure, we had Mag 7, but you get the idea. Now, does that mean sell the stock or it can't work? No, it just means be cognizant. There are a lot of new shiny toys, and now the same money is being spread between more instruments. And maybe that's its greatest issue. But I'm long, excited. So, took some of the trade off after we made some money, but I think we'll be back over 140 and closer to 150 by the time the year's out. Why, how it happens, I have no clue.
All right, I know a stock that you were focused on with the Nvidia earnings report, having a bullish setup for that was Astera Labs. And I mean, that thing is a rocket at this point of
really good
10% again today. Talk about what you've been doing with A-Lab and your plan and thesis moving forward on this thing.
So into the print, and happy you brought it up because I completely forgot. I said, for me, it's going to be like the auxiliary trades. What trades off the NVIDIA report? Where can there be upside or downside based upon what they say? And a lot of times it's about AMD and Broadcom. And I said, I actually think A-Lab, Astera is the one you want to focus on because a good enough report may not move NVIDIA. When people understand how powerful the A-Lab story is, connectivity via NVIDIA, and how deeply ingrained they are in the NVIDIA product suite, I think people are going to really start to buy this stock. So that's what got lit up. It got to 113. We sold most because it was a monstrous move from, I don't know, we owed it in the 80s. And then, like anything else, got a little overbought. It pulled back recently. I don't even remember why it pulled back, but it pulled back all the way to 97. Between 102 and 97, we built back the position again. And today, I'm trimming as we test all-time highs. We're almost there, 113s, and we're like a few cents away from all-time highs. I think we'll get through, make our way to 120, and I'll get smaller again and refill my basket if it ever pulls back. It's not exactly a cheap stock, but it's a great story. It is profitable and probably continues to do well. I just wouldn't be a buyer up here. It's up off the CRDO, which is a comp to it. Biggest winner today on the street. It's up 47%. They gave guidance for the ages, and the market loves it. And the closest comp would be Astera. So that's why it's up so much.
All right.
So I'm a buyer of dips, just not here.
Eric from Twitter says, hello from Israel. What do you think about Amazon? I bought it today. And so thank you for the analysis on NVIDIA.
Sure. Bought Amazon for the Black Friday trade. Made a lot of money. Still sold way too soon. I think the stock trade's better. I think the insider selling might have finally subsided. If it wasn't Jeff, it was Mackenzie. If it wasn't Mackenzie, it was her dog. Then it was his cousin's turtle. It just kept going on and on. I think it might finally be like just put to the wayside and may be out of the way because the stock trades better. So my thought is that after a rally of it's almost a 15-point rally in a straight line, it may not go through that high the way everyone wants to because so many people are talking about it today. 2 people on Fast Money added to it today. Arik's asking about it. A lot of Twitter's talking about it. So that usually means maybe it'll pull back for a quick second. But ultimately, it's still trading versus its cash flow at the cheapest valuation it has ever traded at. So to me, to go up 20, 30 points at some point over the next couple months is not much to ask. I like it here. I just, I'd be cognizant that it just went up 15 points and maybe look for a slight pullback. But looks really good on the chart and fundamentals.
That news about their new supercomputer that they're going to use their own.
Yeah, I don't think that's why it's up. Like everyone's talking about it. They're all excited. If anything, maybe that's more relevant to NVIDIA. Like, hey, people are working on alternatives, right? But
Yeah.
I don't think that's why it's up like this, or why it
Okay.
was up earlier.
I was going to ask you about this. So it's a good from YouTube. Palantir. Palantir, obviously, just continuing to just grind higher, 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 higher. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, and by the way, I would say about a decade ago, easily I'd be down 6 figures trying to fight this short, like endless. I'd just be fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
All my energy would be how to beat Palantir. And then thank God I found Jesus, and I don't try and beat anything. I just try and trade the right way. So my first thought is, yeah, it's overvalued. Yeah, it's overbought, but it's going higher and works. So if I owned it, I'd say I congratulate myself for believing in it and letting it work. If I didn't own it, I'd never buy it. And here's what I've done. Every once in a while, I'll say, you know, this is just crazy. I'm going to do a cute short, but never really overnight. And if I want to fight it, it's generally through puts. And when I make 30, 40%, like quickly, I take them off. So yesterday I said, you know, I think Palantir is going to pull back. I bought some puts. I probably made like 30, 35%. And I sold more than half. And I said, I'm going to hold a little bit tomorrow. If it's down, I'll take the rest. And I said, because anytime you make money short Palantir, if you don't take it, you're just going to lose it. Sure enough, well, you saw what happened. And I had to take off the rest of the loss. And basically I broke even. The point is, there'll be a time and place. Maybe it'll be a downgrade. Maybe it'll be bad news. Maybe it'll be a debt offering that's a bit toxic. But right now, it's the number one. Let's face it, it is the Momo name in the market. That and App Loving are the two home runs. You can talk about valuation all you want, but nobody cares till they do. So long story short, if you own it, you have zero reason to get out of it. You should be trimming and putting in stops, of course. And if you're trying to short it, it was expensive at 60. So who the hell cares? You're not right. It's now 70. So that's my opinion. It's a really, really expensive name and nobody cares. And they may not care till it's, I don't know, 80. I've just learned my lesson to know stocks like this can put you out of business if you try and be smart. So don't be smart and say it's got to pull back because it's too expensive.
Yeah, good lesson. I'm not trying to fight a stock there. I can really bear you. Robbie wants to know if you have any words about DocuSign before earnings.
So, Robbie, I wrote on Twitter, I'm not in love with the business or business model, so focused on real estate. I use it, right? Whenever I'm doing a deal or whatever, people or real estate, people are always sending, I use it. I get why it's used, but you know, it's still kind of a one product company and I've never loved it. But stock has come off lows. And if you look at the names that are working, a lot of people like to call them Kathy names, 2021 names. This is one of the better ones. Affirm's doing great. Block's doing great. Carvana's been doing great for 2 years. You don't have to be a genius to be like, oh, DocuSign, that might work. So in terms of this week's earnings, I actually like that setup better than I do Salesforce, which has come a long way and is going to have to put up really big numbers to continue to go higher. Now, I wouldn't buy the stock. I'd probably just, you know, do it through options, kind of a lotto type trade, forgive the expression. But if there's something that fits what's working here and now, mid, small cap, older, hot name with lots of liquidity, DocuSign kind of fits the bill. So it's kind of the dark horse of the week, so to speak.
Good stuff. Oh, my next question just slipped my mind. That was SMCI. I was going to ask you about SMCI. SMCI is back in the news after they had an internal investigation and say they found no fraud, even though their accounting company just left them. So, what do you think about that investigation? I mean, we still don't have a 10K for SMCI.
Here's the way I think about it. I think like the worst is taken off the table, so they reprice that in. That's why it goes higher. And I get why people played it. I didn't play it, but I got it because it's cheap. Like if the numbers are real, it's cheap company, like versus its growth rate. I just think there's too much to do. So I was like, I don't care. But now after this move of more than 100% off the bottom, I think you take some risk. So I think it's a no touch. I wouldn't short it. I wouldn't buy it. Today, I can't lie. I thought, oh, after yesterday's rally, it's up another 2. It's probably a cute short for 2 or 3. I forgot to do it and I didn't do it. But that's what I was thinking about this morning. Right now, I think it's a nothing. I think it's fairly inexpensive if it turns out this was just all a mistake and the numbers are completely real. But till there's an accountant with numbers, not their hired, person to figure out if there was fraud, I wouldn't be excited here to buy it. I don't know if I'd be in a rush to short it. There's certain times where there's nothing to do. I think on SMCI, there's nothing to do here. But, I get it. Some people said it's too cheap. It's not complete fraud. It should bounce. They won. I mean, stock went up a lot. So congrats to them. To me, it's like, there's easier things to do. I'd rather buy A-Lab.
Yeah.
The next time it goes to 100.
Exactly. All right. So it is the second day, trading day of December, the third day of the month. But looking ahead, over the next 27 days, some of those being weekends, some of those being holidays, but still looking ahead through the rest of this month, what are your overall market thoughts in December 2024?
They are serving, you're at Nobu 57 every day. Every day it's Nobu 57. While they're serving it, eat it. There's going to be a time where the market gets harder. It might be in December, but odds are it's not till January. And you don't have to be dumb, right? You don't have to chase stocks that are up 10 points, but find your levels. Usually they're pulling back to the 10 max. Sometimes it's a 21 day. And when they give you a shot to buy them, and just keep doing what's working. Here's what's worked for me because it's just the same playbook. Oh, Shopify. What a fantastic quarter. Straight up to 115. God, I'm going to stare at that every day. I'm waiting for the pullback. Oh, there it is, 103, pulling back into the 8 and 10 day. Less overbought. Let's buy Shopify. Well, what do you know? 2 weeks later, it's back to 115, makes a new high. That's what I'm doing. A-Lab, wow. Look at that move off of the Nvidia report, 113. Okay, little bit stretch. Oh, it's 100. No one likes it anymore. It's time to buy. Let's buy some. Ooh, 97. That's scary. Let's buy more. Woo, back to 113. That is your market for the next month, people. It's keep winning. Don't buy things up 10, 20 points. But I'll give you a great example. So like Mara, it's not quality like other names, but they have changed their business model. And for that reason, I'm interested on pullbacks. So yesterday, I looked at 24 and I was looking, 21 day is 22 and a half. I'll wait till it gets to about 23. Well, I didn't get paid because I never bought it. But anyone who just said, you know what, it's not going to make it easy. We're in the most bullish time of the year in a very bullish market. I'll buy 24 where they're getting paid today and up $1.40. That's the market we're in. So find your levels and be ready for those dips because they don't last very long. I think 25 gets a lot harder. But as I like to say, I think we're having a full year's worth of gains in the last 8 weeks. So take them. I don't like people sometimes say, what do you want to make? I know what I want to make for the year, decade, but I don't really care about what I make today or tomorrow. I just care like when they give opportunities, I don't miss them. And they're giving big ones right now. So you kind of have to be ready for them because you never know when they're going to come. Bitcoin pulled back to 91,000. I was like, got to take my shot here. I don't think they're going to pull them back more. I bought iBit. Next thing I know, Bitcoin went up $8,000 in 2 days. That's the market we're presently in.
All right. Question from YouTube. What's your thoughts on Intel?
Yeah, I mean, listen, unless you have real dollars where you can allocate money that will not cost you opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is much greater than gains or losses sometimes. So if you have money you can set aside, it will not affect your buying power and what you can invest in. Yeah, you'd probably buy some and don't look at it. But if you care about what happens the next couple of months and you care about AMD and you care about Nvidia and you want to see performance now, there's 49,000 better companies. And if you're going to tell me about valuation and blah, 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 nobody cares. But if you want to put it away for the next 2 years, should it at some point be up 30% because someone actually does something right? I mean, no one's done anything right there in forever. Yeah, okay, it makes sense. But not if your capital is limited. Then you should seriously put soap in your mouth and never say the word Intel again.
All right. Any specific setups that you like for the next couple days that you're looking at yourself?
It's more like little things I'm waiting on. TEM, Tempest AI, this great software setup for AI that is connected to bio. That's a bit like Schrodinger. That was a big win for us years ago. Lockups coming. Very interested in this name. Very powerful story. TEM. Lockup's coming on the 11th, so I guess officially it's the 12th. As that pulls back into 50, I'm interested. When no one cares about Nvidia again, like always, I'll be interested. For me, that last week was 132. Here it's blah. I do think Amazon will break out. I just think that it might, in other words, be over that 215. I just think it might take a break in between. There's nothing I'm absolutely in love with here that I think there's a must. I'm just day by day waiting for my dips. Today it was Mara. I was too cute. I waited, so I missed it. MicroStrategy keeps weakening. It's obviously a bit weaker than Bitcoin itself for several days. The 21 day is up there at 350. Probably buyable the closer it gets to there. But you should be aware that when it breaks the 21 day, there could be some real downside. So those are different names I'm looking at. A-Lab love, but I'm trimming, not buying up here. And we'll see, what happens each day. Square, otherwise known as Block, I own 82, 83. I'd buy it on dips. Today, a couple people got bullish. Also on Fast Money, they got bullish. It was down to, now it's up. It's just that type of market. You're not going to get big pullbacks. So my book is the A-Labs, the Squares, Nvidias, Teslas, and I'm a buyer of dips when they happen. You never know when they're going to happen. The one thing to know is they're not very aggressive, and they probably won't be till January.
All right. We'll get one more question in, and and then I'll let you go. Eric wants to know what you think of Home Depot.
I think the story kind of getting old. Like everyone, it's this binary kind of like, oh my God, housing's going to come back, and Trump and this, that. I don't know. I think if you're first looking to buy it, I think you're late. Not that interested. Pretty bearish housing for a multitude of reasons that probably would make this interview go on for another hour. So yeah, I don't like it much risk reward here. I think you missed it.
All right. There it is. All right. So for everyone who is with us live, if you'd like to join David in the inner circle, you can apply at t3live.com/DP. It's a screenshot from the room on Thanksgiving last week. Everyone saying how thankful they were for the room. I've improved as a trader and continue to do so every day. Thankful for finding this group a month ago. This room is a gold mine. Learning is continuous and with a lot of added value. Some of the comments there. So it's a great.
I have an idea. So one that I don't talk a lot on because I'm very involved, but it just went up 50% for us. It's been huge. Is this Immunome? It's finally, after 6 days straight up, literally went up 50% in a straight line. This might be buyable soon as it takes a little rest. There's a big meeting at the JPM Healthcare Conference in January. I like this setup if it pulls back into the 12s. I own enough, so I don't need to keep buying. But it's gone from 9 to 14s in a straight line. So if it pulled back into the 12s, that'd be very viable. Immuno.
All right, good stuff. All right, there you go. Buying Immuno, everyone. That's your idea of the week. Susie Ann on here with us says there's no place like the inner circle. Jeff says, thanks, DP. Live your wisdom. You're still the best. Cheers, mate. Eric saying, thank you very much for your help.
Appreciate it all.
Angela saying thank you as well. So good stream here, David. We'll be back next week. I'll let David get back to trading because, of course, he is a real trader and we need to give him time to be doing that. But again, you can go to t3live.com/DP to apply to join the inner circle with David. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you in a week.
Thanks for joining all.
Okay.